Toxic Relationships Astrology Edition. So, the first type of toxic relationship I'm going to talk about is style versus substance. A person that usually chooses a relationship based on outer appearance or, based on the way someone looks, often lack a sense of discrimination in selecting lovers, partners, or mates. There's usually a concern with style, which can result in artificial substance, leading to, disastrous consequences. So if you didn't know, we're in Libra season, and of course, Venus rules Libra. And this is why I'm here talking about relationships, because Venus rules relationships, love, beauty. So a person that's in a style versus substance relationship usually is unclear about their values. And Venus is where you'll find, what you value. So if you're unclear about your value, usually that could lead to a very unstable relationship. At the first sign of conflict, the relationship usually falls apart because the person that chooses this type of relationship, or the person that's, the two people usually, or sometimes one person, has never learned how to cooperate a smooth functioning relationship. So this is why they choose style versus function. They choose outward appearance to try to use that as a replacement for true values. So the opposite of the seventh house is the first house. So a person that uses style versus substance relationship, they usually have issues examining their self-image. So to look at your self-image, you're going to look at the first house, which is opposite the seventh house. So another house that you can look at is the second house, because it quincunx the seventh house. And this house is related to values and what provides you with pleasure. So a person that uses style versus substance is a person that does not have a well-defined value, and they probably don't know what provides them with pleasure. So you could look at your second house to see what provides you with pleasure and what you value. So another house you could look at is the fourth house, which is your emotional foundation. So a person who uses this type or seeks this type of relationship style versus substance usually need to examine emotional foundation and where they seek emotional security. So just keep in mind, as we're in Libra, I know a lot of us struggle with relationship issues. So sometimes we want to blame other people, but sometimes we got to look at ourselves and see, what we are doing in order to attract what we attract, right? So if you're a person who look at people mainly visually, we all do, so there's nothing wrong with that. But it's only when, we continuously only choose partners based on what they look like versus, the substance that's below the surface of what they look like. So again, you look at your seventh house to see what's there. And then you look at your first house, which is opposite the seventh house, to see examine your self-image, what you're putting out there, to see what you're attracting back to you. And you can look at your second house to evaluate what you value and what makes you feel good. And then you can look at your fourth house to see your emotional needs and what brings you emotional security. So when you start entering or start looking for a partner, instead of just looking at what they look like, then you could start examining yourself and say, okay, well, I value these things. I need emotional security in these areas. So those are the things that you look for versus just what they look like. Anyways, like and follow for more. Ciao.